A little confused, although it had a lot of good parts. That's my critique again. I like the top half. I like the bottom half. I don't know if they work together that well. It looks to me like that could still need a little more work to tie it together.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm gonna like fix the road in here and something. It's just this area.
Exactly. That's what it needs. It's still messy. It still seems unclear and consequently a little messy in there.
Yeah.
I don't mind this even, but I especially think this got great and this got great, and it's nice by itself, but you've set up like a real world of space, and so that doesn't quite have this space and enough substantial movement through the picture plane kind of stuff. So it's good. I mean, I've appreciated the way you moved that painting along too. It got better.
What about this one, you think?
I wish this one's just about done now. I don't know. Pretty good.
Just a few details.
Maybe here. The only place I go to is maybe under the tree. Just the relationship of the bottom of the tree to the ground.
Okay.
So right here. Maybe it needs a little tree trunk, or maybe it just doesn't. This doesn't carry the weight of the bush or the tree. So I mean, it's almost this. Maybe the green needs to go down and then some real black underneath it just to make it have weight. I think it really pushed it nicely. The blue now works. It's not
I made it smaller. I made it smaller,
but it's good.
And I opened up. I put the sky in there.
Yeah, really good. And the paint is the sky is done with a nice touch too.
Yeah.
It feels like it kind of the way it moves from white to pink to green. It's got some real confident mark making. It feels pretty good. I'm not sure if this is something underneath it.
Yeah, so I can probably...
You might want to sand it down. It's almost a little annoying, but that's the direction that you moved in this painting is what I think you should... That's where I would stick with for the next year. It's coming down, toning down, using that a little bit more of that Fairfield Porter thing than the Van Gogh thing, which we talked about yesterday. It seems like you've got an urge to make some really strong color, and then it's best for you to kind of unify your painting with something that's a little more tonal, a little more sophisticated, maybe just a little more considered. And so now the red, yellow, greens, and especially the blue all pop.
Yeah, I like how
they really have a lot of vitality, and that's because this is kind of down. Even these strokes of orange now work really well. So.
And then I guess we talked about this one enough.
It hasn't changed enough to really, I don't really know what else. But I mean, if you see this, you see what the sky has done to pull this painting together. Also, it's a warm gray. Maybe, don't feel bad about using more warm gray on more than one painting, because that may be what holds it together. I still feel your composition was very strong, the feeling for the roofs. This still bothers me, this feels like a saw.
Right.
So, I mean, it almost feels, if you played around with that lines, right off the bat, the painting's going to get better.
Right.
I agree, this whole is good. The relationship of these now feels okay. And I think, don't be afraid of going back into these paintings with some drawing, because it'll be a different kind of mark making.
Small and light.
Yeah, or careful, or dots, or dashes, or curves, or whatever you want to do with some... It's not necessarily drawing, but even it could be a number 2 brush. Even different kinds of mark making will kind of animate the surface a little bit. I mean, you're doing it pretty good, but dots and dashes, but they all help. And because these paintings, they have a tendency, or you also have a tendency, these, to sort of flatten out the pieces of color.
Right.
So that's it. I mean, this one had. On the other hand, perhaps some of this scratch out is too obvious an attempt to animate a section that's not quite working.
Yeah, well, I like it right here, but down here maybe it's too much.
Yeah, a little too much maybe. So and maybe it might inhibit you from going in and redoing some of that, because it actually feels good that it's not quite working with the rest of the painting. So.
All right, great.
Actually, pretty good. They all started out kind of cautiously, but at this point, 3 together look like you had a pretty good week.
Good.
Don't you think?